Office. I want to thank you for taking the time today out of your busy schedules to look at this Realty Back Office All Features webinar. We're going to go on for about 45 minutes to an hour. During our presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them anytime. There's an area on the right-hand side of your page in the GoToWebinar control panel where you could kind of ask questions. And every time we get an opportunity, we'll go ahead and answer those questions. With that said, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our software. The goal of Realty Back Office is to be the one place where you can pretty much run your entire real estate business online. The core of our software is transaction management. In addition to that, you get brokerage management, agent management, integrated e-sign, and then we also have the ability of integrating Realty Back Office with over 400 different applications. Our most popular integrations probably being like the QuickBooks integration, Google Drive, Dropbox, Google Contacts, Google Calendars integrations, and so on. Before I get started, I'd like to I'd like to verify that you can obviously hear me and that you could see my screen. If you could kind of just maybe put in your name and say hello, that'll let me know that you're able to hear me and that you can see me. All right, I'm seeing some hellos coming up. All right, awesome, perfect. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna log into our demo account here. And in Realty Back Office, there could be two types of users. There could be agents and there could be admins, or a combination of both. This account that I'm showing you here, I'm actually a combination of both. And since I am, Realty Back Office by default logs me into the admin side of the application. Now, for the most part, your agents are just going to be agents. The users that would be agents and admins would probably be like the broker. If the broker sells real estate, then he would probably be an agent admin, okay? But for the most part, all your users are just going to be agents, okay? So the first thing we see here in the admin dashboard would be office announcements. Anyone in your office can add an announcement. You as an admin, you can edit or delete an agent's announcement. Adding an announcement is very easy. Just click on the Add Announcement tab over here. Give it a title. Have a WYSIWYG editor down at the bottom. And then, as an admin, you can say who sees the announcement. And that's because Realty Back Office supports you guys having multiple offices or managing multiple offices within one platform. So if you had multiple offices, you can certainly add those in your company settings, and you'll be pretty much able to manage those offices all within one login, and you wouldn't have to have separate logins for each office, okay? So here you would say, give it a title, select the company or the agents that you want to see the announcement, and you would just save it, okay? So agents use this all the time to maybe advertise new listings or open houses to their colleagues, and admins use it all the time to maybe wish their agents a happy holiday like we did here, or maybe let them know about a new office meeting, okay? The next module we have would be the year-to-date stats module. And this is where you could kind of see in a chart some of your company stats. So there's three different stats that we show here: closed transactions, company sales volume, and company earned commissions. So you could stand over the different months, and for example, I could see that in January we closed 21 transactions, and in February we closed 9 transactions. Now, of course, if you wanted to see closed transactions, you can go to the transactions module and you'd be able to see those. But we like to show you them here in a chart as well, so you can look at the different trends, okay? So if we selected sales volume, you could just stand over the different months and see your sales volume for all your offices. Now, again, this is taking into account all your offices, but if you wanted to look at a specific office, you can select it from the drop-down over here, okay? And then if we select earned commissions, you could stand over the different months and see your company net dollars, okay? Now, if you wanted to look at a little bit more detailed information, you can click on Advanced Search right here. And when you do, we're pretty much going to show you the same numbers, but now broken down by transaction type. So I can see that so far this year, we've closed 30 transactions, broken down by transaction type. I can see that our sales volume is 11,598,000, broken down by transaction type as well. And I can see our company net dollars broken down by RBO income type. Now, in results, you can certainly do so using the filters here on the right-hand side. All right. If you wanted to see agent stats, you could click here and go to agent stats. And as long as an agent has closed a transaction year to date, they're going to show up on this list that's going to populate here. We'll give Realty Back Office a few seconds to do so since it's adding so much data together. But as soon as the list populates, you're going to be able to sort your agents by any of these columns here. So maybe you want to sort your agents by the ones that have earned the most to lease commissions, where you just click on the commissions column and you'd be able to do that. You could sort your agents by the ones that have the highest to lease amount of sales volume. Or you could sort your agents by the ones that have the highest to lease amount of unit closed. Now, this obviously makes it very easy to determine who are your top producing agents. And for example, if you wanted to have an award ceremony and you wanted to award your top 3 agents, you can, again, very easily determine who those top 3 agents are, okay? Specific agent, let's say this one right here. I can see, and again, this is year-to-date numbers. I can see that so far this year, he's closed 2 transactions broken down by transaction type. I can see his sales volume broken down by transaction type. I could see his earned commissions broken down by transaction type. And I could see what we've earned out of these 2 transactions that he's closing. When I say we, I mean the company. So agent contribution to company dollars by income type. So out of these 2 transactions here, as a company, we've earned $3,600 broken down by RBO income type, okay? So again, remember, if you have any questions, feel free to type them there on the right-hand side, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, okay? So if you wanted to further filter these results, you could certainly do so. So again, this is year-to-date numbers, but let's say you want to run this report on a quarterly basis. You can change the closing date here. If you wanted to have, if you were having an award ceremony and maybe you wanted to have a category for residential sale and a category for commercial sale, where you can just say, all right, give me the agents that have closed commercial transactions. You can do that. You can narrow it down by company if you had several companies, by agent status, or you could dive into a specific agent and just select a specific agent, okay? All right, so I'm going to go back to the dashboard. The next module we have would be the pending request module. All right, so within a transaction, agents could do 3 different types of requests. They can do a commission request, they can do a paid at closing request, or they can do an escrow letter request, okay? As agents do requests, they get put into queue here for you, the admin. In addition to the request getting put into queue, the admin who you designate will receive an email letting he or she know that an agent has done a request. All right. And now for the most part, what you could do with these requests is when the agent does it, you can approve it. And when you approve it, we can set it up. The back office generates a letter. So in the case, and I'm not sure if there's any companies that allow their agents to get paid at closing, but in the case where you do, when an agent does a paid at closing request and you approve it, we can generate a letter customized specifically for that transaction where you authorize the agent, or you authorize, the title company to pay the agent directly their portion of the commission. In the case of an escrow letter, we can generate an escrow invoice letter. In the case of a commission request, companies use it in 2 different ways. If you need to invoice the title company or attorney conducting the closing, the letter, the letter that gets generated could be in the form of a letter where you actually create an invoice that's sent to the title company. If you don't need to do that, we could then maybe, when you approve a commission request, we could then maybe have Realty Office kind of create a document with a list of all the expenses documented in the transaction, okay? So That's pending request. Again, for the time being, just know that as agents do request, they get put into queue here for you, the admin. In addition to that, the admin who you designate will receive an email letting he or she know that an agent's done a request. We'll obviously go through a whole workflow, and I'll show you how that all works out. The next module I'd like to show you would be the admin calendar. In the admin calendar, we show you admin-related dates. In blue, we show you agent birthdays. In green, we show you agent hire anniversaries. In yellow, agents whose real estate license are about to expire. And in red, we show you agents whose realtor association payments are coming up due. All right. Next module, upper right-hand side, we have incomplete users. Brokerages mainly use incomplete users for onboarding new agents onto the company. So let's say you hire a new agent, you start working on onboarding the agent, but 5 o'clock quickly comes around and you're not done onboarding the agent. Well, there's an easy way of marking the agent incomplete, and when you do, they show up here in your incomplete users. The last module here in the admin dashboard would be admin notes. This is just a general notes area, really not associated to any transaction or any agents, just a general notes area for you, the admin, okay? I'm going to go ahead and show you the agent side real quick. It's very similar with a few differences. So this is basically what your agents see, okay, when they first log into Realty Back Office. They see office announcements as well. They also have a My Year-to-Date Stats module, so your agents will never have to ask, how much have I earned, what's my sales volume, how many transactions have I closed. They can just go here and go, stand over the different months, or they could just go to advanced search and see all those numbers, okay? They also have an incomplete transaction, so they could see a list of all their incomplete transactions and the progress of those transactions. And they also have a calendar where they could see more agent-related dates, like their contact birthdays, their transaction due dates or critical dates, their listing expiration dates in red, and their transaction closing dates in green. Now, you as an admin are able to kind of customize what this agent dashboard looks like to a certain extent by creating these dashboard widgets. So, for example, this Quick Tools here is a dashboard widget that we created. You can create as many of these as you want, and then you can organize them on the right-hand side here in the order that you like, okay? So this is one we created where we added our logo, some company contact information, and then we added links to the documents or websites that agents ask for most frequently. So our agents could download our logo right from here. They can download a copy of the broker's license or company W-9 very easily, right? Just by clicking on the link here. We created another one called Preferred Vendors, where we have our company preferred vendors, mortgage company, title company, inspection companies, etc. And in these widgets, you can add images like you see here. We added our logo. You can add hyperlinks. You can add HTML code. If you wanted to embed a Google Calendar or anything like that, you can certainly do all that, okay? All right, so going back to the admin dashboard. Any questions before I go ahead and proceed to the next module? I'll stop for a few seconds here and see if there's any questions. All right, I guess not, so I'll go ahead and proceed. Next module I want to show you would be the users module. And when you click on users, you're obviously here going to see a list of all your agents and all your admins. You're able to filter your agents and admins using these filters here on the right-hand side. So if you wanted to search for a specific agent, you could certainly just put their name here and they'll show up on the left. By status, whether they're active or inactive. If you had multiple companies, you can filter your agents by the company they're associated with. So again, you can manage all your companies within one platform. You can filter your agents by the compensation plan they're associated with. So one of the things you'll be able to do in your company settings is set up the different compensation plans you've negotiated with your agents. And when you do, you could then filter your agents by compensation plan. You could filter your agents by the realtor association that they're a part of. So let's say maybe I wanted to see all the agents who are members of this association. And once I filter them, I want to send them all an email. So I select them all, and I could just go to the multiple user actions, send email, and maybe send them an email to remind them they got to pay their board dues by Friday, okay? Those are the kind of things you could do with that. You could sort your agents by their license expiration date. the real estate license expiration date by their real estate license or by their home address, okay? So I guess what I'm going to do here is go into an agent profile so you can see what that looks like. So within the agent profile, you can obviously add the basic information for the agent. You can add unlimited phone numbers, unlimited emails to each agent. One thing you could also track with Realty Back Office is who recruited who in your office. So if you wanted to be able to do that, there's an easy way of doing that here. If you also want to track, if you pay your agents or the agents who recruited some compensation like that, if you wanted to. Down here, you would say what company they're joining under what compensation plan. You can associate one or several different realtor associations to each agent. You could add some more basic information down here. You got your agent permissions at the bottom as well. Then if the user that you're adding is an admin, down here you could say which one of your companies can they admin. Within the user profile, you also have the to-do list. So another thing you'll be able to do as an admin in your company settings is create a new agent to-do list template. And that would basically be a list of all the tasks you as a company need to complete every time you hire a new agent. So you create that template, and once you create that template, the next thing you're probably going to want to do is assign the template to the agent. So let's say this is a brand new agent I just hired. First thing I do is obviously create their profile. The next thing I want to do is probably start working on onboarding the agent. So I could come here, click on this button right here, select all these tasks that I have in my template, and hit save. Once I do that, all the tasks are going to get associated to the agent, and now you and your staff have an easy step-by-step guide of all the different things you need to do every time you hire a new agent. So as you and your staff work on those items, you could check them off so that you know that they're complete. And if 5 o'clock comes around and you're not done working on the agent, you can always check here, and now the agent's going to show up on your incomplete users, okay? Also within the agent profile, you have the agent documents. The agent documents is essentially like a folder where you can upload all of the important documents associated with the agent. So maybe the contractor's agreement they signed when they joined your company, their W-9, things like that. Any important documents associated with the agent you can upload here and have easily accessible from anywhere you have an internet connection, okay? Also within the agent profile, we have agent recruitment info. So these two agents here would be the two agents that John Smith recruited. If you pay John Smith anything for recruiting these agents, you could say how much and how often you're going to pay John Smith for recruiting, for example, Alex Perez over here. And last but not least, we have agent notes, also within the agent profile. So this is an area where you can add any important notes associated with the agent. Now, it's got a really cool feature, and that's the ability to associate the note to an agent's transactions, which comes in handy in many situations. And for example, this is one of them here. So I suppose that from time to time, you have agents from other brokerages who refer your agents a customer. And I'm pretty much going to give you an example of how this comes in handy over here, okay? The ability to show the note in an agent's transaction. So the only problem with that scenario is, the scenario meaning when other brokerages refer your agent's customers is that you have no idea when your agent's going to close a transaction with the broker, or with the customer, I'm sorry. And you are obviously responsible for paying that other brokerage. If we use this here as an example, 25% when your agent closes a transaction with Kevin Larson. If it was a week from now, you'd probably remember you signed a referral agreement, right? But if it's 6 months from now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't remember that I even signed a referral agreement. So what can you do? You can add a note. You can associate it to the agent's transactions. And next time this agent maybe does a paid at closing request, the first thing you, as an admin, are going to get greeted with when you go into the transaction to approve that request is a big orange note, basically reminding you of this right here. So this note, when you go into the transaction, only you could see it, the agents don't see it, okay? So it really gives you the luxury of being able to forget and not having to have in the top of mind all these different responsibilities that you and your staff have associated to the different transactions, okay? So very simple, add a note associated to the agent's transactions. Next time you go into the transaction, give me a moment here. All right. So before I go on to the next module, are there any questions? Again, within the user profile, we have the actual profile, you have the to-do list, you have agent docs, you have agent recruitment info, and you have agent notes. Any questions here before I go on to the transactions module? All right, I guess not, so I'll go ahead and go over transactions. All right, so when you as an admin, when you click on transactions, you're pretty much able to see all your brokerages transactions. When agents click on transactions, they transactions, okay? So just like we had with the users module, you could filter your transactions using all these filters here on the right-hand side. So maybe I want to see all the transactions, or all of John's transactions. I could put John's name here, and they all show up on the left. If someone calls my office and says, hey, I need you to send me the contract to 123 Main Street, I could just put 123, and we'll say Main. And there go the two addresses of 123 Main Street. I could go into the transaction, go into the docs, and email them right from there. If I wanted to see all the transactions where a particular buyer, seller, or title company was involved, I'd put in the name of that person or company here, and they all show up on the left. If I had multiple companies, I can filter my transactions by company, by transaction type, by agent, by transaction status, whether it's got any pending approvals, by closing date, by created date, or transaction with pending commissions. Okay? Now, you can see a lot of the transactions information by just kind of clicking on the plus sign here. And this is like a preview over here of the transaction where you can see all of the due dates. And then you can see all of the contacts involved in the transaction. All right. I guess what I'm going to do here is do a little bit of role playing. I'm going to act like I'm one of your agents. So I'm going to go to the agent side of the application. And the idea, of course, is for each agent in your office to have a Realty Back Office account. And you'd probably make it an office policy that within 24 to 48 hours of creating a transaction, you actually have to come into Realty Back Office and create one, right? So we'll do just that. So I'll pretend I'm one of your agents. I went out, showed a property, clients liked it. They had me write up an offer, which, by the way, I'd probably do using our e-sign software, which I'll demo out to you in a bit here. But regardless of the way the offer was written, we'll pretend this offer was accepted, okay? So what's the first thing I'm going to do? Once an offer is accepted, I'm most likely going to log into my Realty Back Office account. And the thing we want to do is go to transactions and create a transaction. Now, the moment as an agent that I click on transactions, I'm going to see all my transactions here. And I'm going to have my transaction search on the right-hand side of the page, okay? Now, we're going to add a new transaction, so all we need to do is click on Add Transaction. We make adding a transaction very easy, so I will give this a property address. We need to know the transaction type. We'll leave it a residential sale. We'll say I'm the selling agent. We'll say it's under contract now, so pending, and we'll hit Save Changes. So the moment I do that, I've just created a transaction. If I wanted to, I can add additional property information, and I can add all the contract critical dates down here at the bottom. Okay. So for example, you can add the appraisal contingency dates, inspection contingency dates, initial, escrow deposits, additional escrow deposits, etc. Okay. Now, as an agent, the moment I create a transaction, I'm going to also know exactly what my brokerage requires from me, because to the right of the transaction, I'm going to see the transaction requirements over here. Now, this is obviously a setting that you guys configure in your company settings. the setting is completely, configurable. So you could go in there and add as many of these checklists as you want. Right. So in our case, we only require for agents to add specific forms into the transaction and to add some transaction contacts. But you can create as many of these checklists as you want, and then items underneath the checklist. Okay. So maybe you wanted to create another one called transaction required workflow, and then items underneath that. You can certainly do that. Okay. So there's a setting in company settings where you basically go through each transaction type and through each role an agent could potentially have in the transaction, and there you basically tell, it's where you basically configure what you're going to require from your agent so that when they create a transaction, the correct checklist populates into the transaction. So I see that my company requires me to upload certain forms into the transaction, so I'll just go to Documents, Add Documents. All right. Realty Back Office supports uploading multiple documents at the same time. So we'll upload 2 documents. Every document that gets uploaded gets backed up a minimum of 3 times in our servers. In addition to that, we can help you set up an integration whereas you and your agents upload documents into transactions in Realty Back Office. They'll automatically get backed up to your preferred cloud storage service like Dropbox or Google Drive. So I'll show you my Google Drive account in a bit, and I'll show you how these 2 documents I uploaded have automatically been backed up into my preferred cloud storage service, okay? So now that I've uploaded some documents, I'll start to check off some of these tasks. Since this first task here requires of a document, Realty Back Office is asking me to associate the document the task belongs to. So I'll do that. So I associated this first task here to this document right here. I'll check off the second task. Now you as an admin know that this document is this right here, really, okay? Now you can also set it up if there's specific tasks that you want to be notified when an agent completes a task. We can set it up so that Realty Back Office sends you an email immediately after the agent completes a task. So for example, I have this first task set up to do that. So since I checked it off, I have it set up so that my admin staff receives an email, and here it is, basically letting them know that the agent completed the task. Now this email would be the admin's trigger to go into the transaction and review the task. So my admin received an email letting him know that agent Javier Alvarez completed the task labeled fully executed purchase contract for the transaction 290 Brickell. In this email, there's a link that takes the admin into the transaction. The admin's obviously going to want to review the task, so I can go into documents now. And let's say this is the task right here. I can preview the documents. Let's say that I previewed the document and I noticed that the document was missing initials. Well, instead of you having to email or call the agent to let him know that, you can just add a task and say, please upload page 2 of contract with initials. Once you add an additional task to the agent, you have 3 options down here. You can say if the task requires a document, which it does, so I'll check that off. You can say whether you want to notify the agent regarding the task. We want to do that. And you can also say whether you want to be notified when the agent completes a task, so I want that as well, and I hit save. The moment I do that, the agent is immediately going to receive an email letting them know about this new task that we just added. And here's the email. So the agent receives this email. It's obviously got a description of the task, and it also lets the agent know which property it's for. The agent clicks on the link, which takes him into the transaction. The agent from here would probably go to the task, which in this case is a document, and he could do 2 things. He can either download that document that's missing initials and physically take to his client and re-upload into Realty Back Office, or from here, he could send that document to what we call our working docs area, which essentially is our e-sign software that's all integrated into Realty Back Office. Once he sends a document there, he can open it up, add an initials field wherever the document's missing initials, send to the client. Realty Back Office will send the document to the client. The client will e-sign. once the document's back e-signed from the working docs, the agent can assign the doc back into the transaction. Now, I'm not going to go through that whole workflow, but those would basically be the two options he's got, right? Now, let's pretend I completed the task, so I'll check off the task is complete. I'll associate it to the transaction. And now, since I completed the task, the admin is going to receive another email. Should be coming in here shortly, letting them know that the agent completed the task, okay? And we'll come back to this. It's probably taking a little long now, but we'll come back to it. It should be here shortly. Basically, the admin will then click on the link, which will take them into the transaction. The admin can then review that the task is complete, and that'll be that. So you can kind of see how you can go back and forth with your agent and managing the transaction without having to email him or call him, etc. Okay, and how the system basically lets you know when the agent completed certain tasks, and how the system lets the agent know when there's new tasks that have been added to the transaction. Okay, so let's pretend here that we've been working on this transaction for a while. Actually, before I go into that, I'm a little bit ahead of myself. Before I go into that, let's continue to add some more information over here. So I add certain contacts into the transaction. So I'll go to contacts, add contact. Your agents would be able to autocomplete from any existing contacts they might have. All right. So I added the buyer, so I'll check that off. My transaction is now 57%. You can add, you can send emails from here, and when you do, we'll keep a copy of all the emails for you. You can add any important notes associated with the transaction. You can see a log of everything that's occurred in the transaction and who's done it.
This is she.
Again, like I was telling you before, your agents could do 3 different type of requests. If there's any of these requests that you don't do, for example, let's say you don't have an escrow account, well, you can disable the escrow letter request, and agents won't see this option, okay? Now, let's pretend that we've been working on this transaction for a while, and the agent wants to get paid. So I'm going to do a sample with the paid at closing. Now, I don't know if you authorize for your agents to get paid at closing or not, but what I'm going to show you here is basically the same thing that you would do for the, or that the agent would have to do for the commission request. The only difference is going to be the letter that we generate at the end. If it's a paid at closing, well, it's an authorization to the title company to pay the agent directly. If it's a commission request, it could be, like I told you before, it could be set up different ways. We can generate a letter, or we can generate a breakdown of how the money was split. We can pretty much do anything. It's completely flexible and customizable. But basically, the process would be the same, so I'm going to just sample out the paid at closing. So again, I'll pretend I'm one of your agents. I want to get paid at closing, so I'll go ahead and do a paid at closing request. So this is the agent kind of filling this out. I'll say that the company commission is $1,000. I say that my company charges me a $300 transaction fee. I'll say the agent commission is $5,000. Say the final sales price is $200,000. Expected closing date's tomorrow. Closing. My check. Let's say who the closing agent is. I'll say it's ABC Title, and I have to answer 2 questions here, which I'll say no to them for the sake of the demo, okay? I'll hit submit. The moment I do this, my company admin is going to receive an email. Looks like the Gmail servers are a little bit slow. Because the other email didn't go through either, and this one I see it's not coming through. We should see those coming up here shortly. But nevertheless, the company admin will receive an email letting he or she know that an agent has done a request. If we go into the dashboard, we see it here as well in the dashboard, 290 Brickell. So this is pending, so the admin can click on the email, or on the email or on the link on the dashboard, which will take them into the transaction. Now the admin is going to want to verify, obviously, before he approves for an agent to get paid at closing, that everything's in compliance. If everything's good, he'll probably go to the request here, go to the paid at closing request. You could see how the agent broke down the monies over here. The agent made a mistake. You as an admin, you can obviously edit this here. Maybe the agent forgot he owed the brokerage money for some. You can add this here, right? You can edit this request. But if everything's okay, you can just approve this. And when you do, the agent will receive an email basically letting him know that his request to get paid at closing has been approved. If you notice, this email's got the company logo, so you can obviously go here, you can customize this to say exactly what you wanted to say. And then more importantly than that, attached to this email, now there's a letter. If you notice, it's customized for the transaction. So in this letter, we got the company letter, company logo on the top. If you notice, it's customized. It says who to pay the $5,000 to, which is the agent, and where to send the $1,300, which is the company portion of the commission, with the company address, with the broker's signature down here on company letterhead. The agent will obviously receive this, and he can, right from here, forward this to the title company, okay? So you can see how with the click of a button, we can generate a letter specifically for the transaction, okay? Let me see if these emails came through. All right. So that's that. Now, what we suggest is that you don't close out this transaction until you actually receive your portion of the commission or the entire check. So let's pretend that we just received 2 or 3 days later has passed. We just received our portion of the commission. It's time to close out this transaction. Okay. Now to close out this transaction, we need to add volume and tracking. So we go to volume and tracking. And this is where you kind of finalize all the numbers. Probably a good idea to do this with the HUD one in front of you. So $200,000 was the final sales price. Agent received $5,000. Company portion was $1,000. There's a transaction fee of $300. $6,300. Save changes. Now we can go on to close the transaction. So we could go to details. We can mark this transaction closed. Give it a closing date. Hit save changes. And we're pretty much done. Now, before I go on to show you the QuickBooks integration, are there any questions in regards here to the transactions and the transaction management? All right, awesome, no questions. All right, so for most companies, there's still an extra step after you close out the transaction, and that's to go into their accounting software and create a deposit for the total and an agent check for the agent portion of the commission. Now, we integrate with the software called Zapier, and Zapier is a software that allows over 400 of the most popular websites on the internet to integrate together. So you can probably recognize a lot of these logos here. And just like all these brands, we created our own app for Zapier, and you can see QuickBooks over here as well. And what this ultimately does is allow us to send information from RealtyBackOffice to any of those 400 different applications, okay? So I'm going to manually run this app here that we have set up, or this automation, that you might want to call it an automation. Since it could take about a minute or so to show the data up in QuickBooks. So I'm going to show you what this does over here. So I'm going to go into our QuickBooks. All right, and here, if I go into my recent transactions, you'll notice I have a deposit here for the total. If you notice, there was the agent portion of the commission and the company portion. So we have it set up so that those two portions all go into a product or service that we have in QuickBooks called commission income. So the 1,000 plus the 5,000 for a total of 6,000. We had a transaction fee of 300. So total 6,300. So if you notice, it does support line items. Under the description here, we have it set up to put the property address. So the data entry you would normally have to do here, you don't have to do, so your deposits are done for you in QuickBooks. And then we also have right here a check for the agent portion of the commission. In the right expense account with the right description, well, all you got to come in here and do is select who the vendor is or the agent, put a check in the printer and hit print. In the case where the agent got paid at closing, probably in the check number in the memo somewhere, you might just want to make a note that the agent got paid at closing on this one, okay? And that's pretty much it. So all your data entry that you would normally have to do, you don't have to do no longer in QuickBooks. Now, while we're talking about integrations, another cool integration we can do with QuickBooks is we can set it up so that when you add a new agent to Realty Back Office, they're automatically added to your QuickBooks as a vendor. Again, reducing from you having to go in there and do all these double entries. Now, also, while we're talking about integrations, I'll show you another one that I told you I was going to show you. So I'm going to my Google Drive account. In my Google Drive account, I have a folder called RBO Backups. And in here, these are the documents I uploaded into the transaction. So that paid at closing letter, look how it's automatically backed up in here. So we can also help you set up this integration where, again, whereas you and your agents upload documents into the transaction, they'll automatically be backed up in here into your preferred cloud storage service. Now, what this will obviously give you is a lot of peace of mind in knowing that besides the fact that Realty Back Office has got my documents, I also have a copy of every single document that has been backed up. That has been uploaded into a transaction. Okay? So any questions on that? All right, awesome. So how does it look so far, guys? You liking it? Great. Awesome. All right, awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you the last module, which would be our eSign and Forms Gallery. All right, so as a company, you guys are going to be able to create a company forms library. And when you do that in your company settings, when you do, you can, those forms are going to show up for your agents here in the company forms library on the right-hand side. And then on the left-hand side, you have your working docs or eSign software, okay? So let's say I was one of your agents and I wanted to fill out an offer. I could just go here to Forms category, and I want contracts and addendums. In order to fill out this offer, I need the actual contract and maybe addendum number 1. One thing, once we select what we need, we can actually merge those documents together into a package. And I'll say I want addendum 1 first. I want the purchase contract next, so you can drag and drop the order of those documents. We'll just call this a name. Give it a name, hit merge. Realty Back Office is now going to make a copy of those documents and put them in the order that you just selected there. All right. Once it does that, you have quite a few options over here. You can create reusable templates or reusable email templates or reusable link templates. You can assign the forms to a transaction, assign them to a user, email, copy, download, delete, but we want to open these up. Once you open them up, you have your document tools on the left. So if we want to fill out this contract, we select the Add Text tool. Just stand anywhere and start adding text. So this is also included for each and every one of your agents at no extra cost. All right. Now, let's say I needed someone to sign this document. I can add a signer. I can add an extra layer of security by adding a security key. send the signer a message. I'll say, please sign ASAP, and we'll hit save. I can add multiple signers, and I can assign signing more if I needed to as well. So now that I've added a signer, I'll add the different spots where I need him to initial for me. And we'll say he needs to sign down here. You can make the field bigger if you need to. All right. And let's just pretend I filled out the entire contract. I added my signer, the different spots where he or she needs to sign. I hit submit. The moment I do that, the signer will receive an email, and here it is. You'll click on the link, which will take him into the transaction. There's a security key, so I'll add that. That security key you'll kind of have to tell the customer about. Best thing to do is probably call him and let him know what it is. Realty Back Office will open the document right away, and we'll take the signer to the first spot where he needs to initial. Okay. The signer's name was Javier Alvarez, so there's predefined fonts already, or he can draw his initials, which I'll do. Last field is a signature. Now that four steps are completed, I can e-sign now. I accept. And as soon as this is done processing here, Realty Back Office will send an email to all the signers with a copy of the executed document. The agent will also get notified and will also receive a copy of the executed document. And if we go into Realty Back Office, this document that's awaiting signatures, if we refresh the page, should now be a signed document. Okay, so it's a signed document now. If I wanted to, I can actually go into the document. I can see there's an area where you can see a history of all the signers, the actions that all signers perform, a timestamp for each and every one of the actions they perform, the IP addresses where they perform them from, etc. You can also from there download a certificate of authenticity if you wanted to, okay? So, which is your basic address book. You have your calendars, which is the same calendar in the dashboard, and then you have your company settings where you could kind of set it all up, okay? So in this company settings, you have a list of your companies. Each company's got a group of settings, since every company's different. All right. And this is your settings down here at the bottom. So you set up your compensation plans. You can set up your dashboard widgets, which show up on the agent side. You can set up your transaction required task templates. This is where you go through each transaction type and through each role, say what you're going to require from your agents. You obviously only do this one time, so that when the agents create transactions, these checklists show up in the transactions. You can set up you can add your realtor associations and their due dates. You can create your company forms library. This is where you can customize the letters that are generated when you, for example, approve an escrow letter, commission request, or paid at closing letter. For example, this is the template for the letter that we generated, authorizing for the agent to get paid at closing. So we added our logo in the top. If you notice, these letters have what we call short codes. And these short codes are the ones responsible for inserting into the letter the dynamic data from the transaction to make the letter unique for the transaction when the admin approves the letter. So for example, this short code here reads closing agent company name. When we approve the letter, this is going to replace this here, or Realty Back Office is going to replace this here with the actual title company's name. Which in the case, in the demo I was showing you was ABC Title, okay? So you can customize this, of course, and you could change the wording of all this, and if you wanted to insert other short codes, you can certainly do so in this whole, really big list of short codes here that you can insert into the letter if you wanted to, all right? So you can create your new user to-do list templates over here. You can, you got your notification settings. This is where you say who's going to get notified for each of the different requests or for the task complete notifications. You got your automated email notification templates. So Realty Back Office sends automated emails to your agents. So for example, like the welcome email when you first add them, you would obviously add your logo in the top. You can reword this if you wanted to, etc. The paid at closings, commission requests, and escrow letter requests, approved notifications. You can also customize each and every one of those. And last but not least, you have the Zapier integration with QuickBooks setting. This is where we kind of a setting where we map out the Realty Back Office income types to your QuickBooks income type. So if you do this integration, when the data goes over into QuickBooks, it goes over into the corresponding and the correct income account in QuickBooks. Okay, so that's that. I don't know if you have any questions. If you have any questions, feel free to type those in while I kind of go into our website here. And I'm very briefly get pricing. If you have any questions, feel free to type them while I go into the website here. So our pricing is extremely competitive. Our first plan is up to 10 agents, $80 a month. You can add additional agents at a discount. And obviously, as you continue to grow, it gets to a point where after you have 150 agents, all you're paying is $1 per agent per month, okay? So up to 10 agents, $80 a month. In this plan here, you're basically, you know, if you have less than 22 agents, it's best that you're at this plan here up to 10 agents and just add additional agents at $7 a month. Once you have more than 22 agents, you're better off at the next plan where it's up to 25 agents for $150 a month. Our pricing is all inclusive. So everything we just showed you here is included in our pricing. All right. So that's that. What we're going to do today is after the demo here, about an hour afterwards, we'll go ahead and send you an email with a coupon that's going to give you 50% off your first 3 months for taking the time to do this today. And so make sure you take advantage of that. We give you 30 days free trial. So you can also take advantage of that, you know, start to play with it, go through all the settings, etc. And then after you join, once you become a paid subscriber, what we do is kind of set up like an onboarding session where we spend about an hour and a half with you and help you set it all up according to your company needs. And that includes doing any of the integration, whether it might be backups integration, Google Contacts, calendars, or QuickBooks integration. So we also help you configure all that, and there's no cost to that as well. That's all included with your membership, okay? So, any questions? No questions today. All right, I'll give you a few more seconds. All right, it looks like we don't have any questions. So with that said, I'm going to wrap it up. If you do think of any questions after the demo or need us to clear anything up, please feel free to contact us anytime at 866-546-6935, 866-546-6935, or by email at support@RealtyBackOffice.com, support@RealtyBackOffice.com. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. We'll send you an email shortly with a coupon code for 50% off your first 3 months. Once again, thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us anytime. We're always available to help. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.